Hello.
How's it going? Boy, brother, you've had some pretty damn good looking guests, and now you got me. The hell's going on there?
Oh, well, I've had some good guests, all right. Um, but I have to say, probably not many as quite as important as what we're going to be talking about tonight.
Well, it's a conversation we have quite often. Um, just as a group of friends, we it's something that's always on our mind. We're always trying to look out for other people, and you know, I think the most important thing about this conversation is, Jeremy, it really opens the eyes of a lot of people who think that the only way to support people is by pulling out your wallet. And that's just not true. Conversations are the best way in the world to help others.
That is absolutely correct, and a lot of people don't seem to grasp that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, we've all got busy lives. And like I said, and you probably experienced this too. After your incident, there's times that there were resources there that you've known about forever, but every once in a while they slip your mind. When you really need something, it just slips your mind. And it's not that, you completely forget about something. It's just, when life goes crazy, it's kind of hard to remember everything.
Yeah, when life goes crazy, it really hits the fan.
Yep. That's for sure.
Yeah,
So,
because you have firsthand experience in that as well.
yep. Yeah. Motorcycle accident, a little over 11 years now. So, um,
Wow.
yeah,
And
it's
probably
crazy how
doesn't
quick
even
it
feel like
goes.
it's been that long.
What's that?
Probably doesn't even feel like it's been that long.
No, no, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. And there are certain days that you know, uh, like a lot of people who are out there. There are just certain days that you know it it feels like the accident was yesterday because you're suffering. You know, um, mentally, physically, whatever it is.
Yeah,
So,
you relate to that.
yeah, I mean, every once in a while, things just start to break down, and you kind of forget. And I think that's one of the really important things that we need to make sure that we remember that if we would reach out to people, there are other people who have experienced these things too. There's conversations to be had because very rarely has nobody gone through what we're going through.
Right.
I mean, humans have been around for an hour or two. They've experienced a lot of stuff, you know.
That is true. And something that most people never really think about is what happens to veterans after they come back from active duty or come back from seeing combat. And that's actually the topic. Well, kind of a segue into the topic of what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is the mission for healthy heroes. This is the fourth year running.
Yep. Yep. Fourth year.
So, to give a little bit of context to this, what sparked the idea of having this 22-hour marathon?
We had a group of people who were getting together and they wanted to do something for veteran suicide. And we had this wonderful date that popped up in 2022 February 2nd, 2022, and the number 22 is so important because there was a lot of money spent a long time ago on that number because there were 22 of our heroes that were taking their own lives every day. And so we had, they were going to do this event in Wisconsin on 2/22, 2022. Well, I wasn't going to go to Wisconsin, you know, and I thought the event was brilliant enough that it should be shared. So I started the podcast. And that's originally it was called 2 for 22, and I know it's kind of funny. I think that's a name that is stuck with a lot of people for all 4 years. I still have people trying to call it 2 for 22, and I'm like, no, 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 no. It's now Mission for Healthy Heroes because unfortunately they're not doing that event anymore. But we're going to continue to do this.
Really, they've stopped doing that.
Yeah, that group did. Yeah, that group did. Um, you know, Jeremy, you know the way this is. I mean, one of the worst things about doing events, you have a lot of people with a lot of different thoughts, a lot of different plans, and the too many chefs, you know, not enough prep cooks, right? So,
I hear
um,
that.
and so yeah, you get too many people in trying to put input where input's not needed, and things kind of blow up, and that's what happened to that event.
Hmm. That unfortunately, or fortunately, in some cases, that does happen a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's an unfortunate thing because it's a great cause and it's a needed cause, but you
Right.
know, I was going to distance myself from it anyway. Um, Infighting is not needed when you're trying to do something, to help people. Infighting gets a little goofy.
Yeah, but for a cause like this, what is there to fight about?
It's amazing. It's you know you get one nonprofit that thinks that they're not getting enough play. You get one person who thinks they're doing more work than someone else. That's where you get the too many cooks and just not enough people to understand. I mean, you think about Jeremy. I Before I started Community Pay It Forward, I started a group called Biker in Distress, and it was stolen from my board. You know, they they I had a specific plan I wanted to do with it, and they wanted to make it easy to get the 501(c)(3) number, so they did that. And so I told them, you know what, you can take this and go away with it. And I started Community Pay It Forward, and now I'm much happier because now I can help more people.
Yeah.
So, but like everybody's got their own way of seeing the way that things run. And people see events like this, and there's a lot of times that, people want to leave their mark, and it starts to get overseen what this was all built for. It starts You start to see people who are wanting to put themselves ahead of the mission, and that's when it gets dangerous. The mission should always come first.
It should, yes. 100% agreed. Um, and now the mission, this particular mission, is going into its fourth year.
Yep.
Um, and this will be the third time that we will actually be helping you broadcast this event.
Nope. This will be the fourth time. You did it the first year.
Did we?
Yep, you sure did. You guys have been a partner all 4 years.
I thought we joined on the second year.
Nope. Nope, you sure did not. You joined in on the very first year. You guys took and heard what we were going to do, and you guys jumped on board right away. You guys team with me every year, uh, which it's only been the last 2 years for Miracle of the Community or of the Season. I think it's lovely that we have our own little things that we do, but we we respect each other's communities enough that we want to work within each other's place. You
Yeah.
guys you guys touch you guys touch the lives and have a community that I don't, other than Adrian, I don't really have contact with, you know. So it's wonderful, and I get wonderful
She's sort of
guests.
that liaison between the two.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I mean, we start our show off in the I believe it's the second hour of the show. We have people from Scotland that from you guys, which is great. You know,
So let's talk about that. You have multiple people coming on board this year to help out with hosting, co-hosting, uh, taking over, so that you're not on this thing the entire 22 hours. Because I think you either did the full 22 hours or you did almost all the full 22 hours that first year.
yeah. Um, yeah, you guys, and well, it was Adrian and Jan actually took over for an hour to let me eat and to get around and make sure that I didn't have a clot forming in my you know pompous fat ass. So um, and give the floor a break from my immense weight. But and we've really kind of got it to a point where, yeah, doing 22 straight hours it's difficult. It's hard on your body, it's hard on your mind. um
It's hard to stay awake,
yeah,
just stay awake for that amount of
you
time.
know actually the staying awake wasn't that hard. It really was more mental, because you hear stories that make you want to laugh your ass off, but then you turn around and you hear stories that make you just want to give up. You're done. You can't handle this no more. You're hearing stories about people who have been through some of the worst things in the world. you know um we were introduced through you guys to a lady who found her very best friend who had taken her own life, and she got there like 5 minutes after it happened. you
I remember
know
that one.
and those hearing those stories are just it's wonderful, because these are stories that people need to hear, but trying to take them all in at once, it's really tough. So, but yeah, it's really more of a mental, getting a mental break is what I'm really looking forward to the most, is being able to take a little bit of time off my brain, you know.
Yeah.
So,
And how much time will you be able to take off on Sunday?
it's looking like I'm only going to be doing about 17 hours this year, which is,
Only.
yeah. Hey, you know what? 17's not 22, brother. 17 is not 20.
True, but holy
So,
cow.
you know what though? It's fun. Like I said, it is fun, and it's really February 22nd. Other than, of course, my anniversary to my dear wife Adrian is my favorite day of the year. I mean, it's I
So
don't know where she's at, man. I got to say that stuff, or I'm going to get my ass kicked. So, but
so this is basically your WrestleMania,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you want to put it that way, yeah. It's my WrestleMania. This is my Sturgis. This is my
Super
you know,
Bowl?
Mardi Gras. This is it. And you know, it's it's something I just truly believe in. That look, we don't we don't understand the power that each and every one of us possess in our stories.
Hmm.
And telling our stories is so important because there are people that you may not even know you're talking to them. But there could be somebody who's sitting there going, "Holy shit, that makes a lot of sense. That's exactly what I'm going through and I never thought about, trying yoga or THC or whatever. I never thought about doing this. And if I do this responsibly, it's this could really help me. I'm not a kumbaya guy. I don't want to go and sit in in a circle with a bunch of people and spill my guts. That's not who I am. But I think I could go and do some journaling. I mean, hell, look at you. You do writing every day, and that's part of your therapy.
Well, it is, but 99% of what I write is fiction.
Hey, it doesn't matter, does it? It makes you feel better when you write it, right?
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
I'll give
And,
you that. It does.
you know, look, uh,
It's like, for me, it's like I finally found my calling, and
yeah,
it took 41 years and me almost dying to find it.
right. You know, I got I got past where and before, prior to reconnecting with Adrian, I was a guy who used to smoke 3 packs of cigarettes every day.
Oh,
Um, I was a guy that could sit there with the handle of Captain Morgan's and a 24 pack of beer and finish it in a night. I was a workaholic on top of that. I wanted to win a prize for everything I did. I didn't want anybody to come close to who I was. I mean, I and I didn't I really wanted to make my mark somehow. And the unfortunate thing was is I was trying to make my mark with stupidity, just doing stupid stuff. So um I was in a I was in a real I was in a job that every day, Jeremy, I started my day. I hate my effing life. I was in a rut. I really was. Your accident, you were just talking about it. My motorcycle accident, when I knew that I was, that after the brain bleed and the reconstruction of the face and the broken neck and all these other fun things, I knew I couldn't go back and get a real man's job. But I am a terrible, terrible bored person. When I get bored, I start to think, and thinking is very dangerous for somebody. Is
it can be. Yep.
Yeah. So, and it gave me a chance to really come up with something that I absolutely enjoy, and I love trying to find ways to help people because it it's meaningful and I think it just it makes that's what makes me feel better is somebody coming up to me going, you know what, I appreciate it, I just didn't know what to do in that moment. I had a guy call me from Canada, from Montreal,
Yeah.
and he thought he was calling another guy in Montreal for some reason, and he said, we started to have a conversation, and he was talking about how his mom was about ready to pass on, and he said, I'm trying to find a church that can come and give my mom last rites. And I'm like, well, let me see what I can do. Where are you at? He goes, I'm in Montreal. And I'm like, Canada? And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, I'm in Greeley, Colorado. And he goes, Oh, I'm so sorry, and I'm like going, no, don't say. I looked it up online. I found him three churches to call. In the first church he called, the guy came, went, and sat there with his mom as his mom passed on. You know, we can separate ourselves from someone else's emotions, and we can make decisions that they're finding difficult to make. You know, when you're in that emotion that, you know, holy shit, this is my life going down the drain, it's hard to make rational decisions. If you can have somebody else to stand beside you, to stand there with you, those decisions can be made without making, dire mistakes.
Yeah, I would bet so. It it baffles me that a guy from Canada somehow dialed your number by mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know,
But it's like one of those things that's just simply meant to be.
Jeremy, I had a guy who called me 2 weeks ago, and I had a wonderful conversation with this gentleman, and he called me and he asked me about some of the rules in California, and I'm like going, I don't know. And I was like going, he was talking to me and he said, yeah, I want to move my nonprofit. I want to spread it into California. And I'm like, well, I can try to connect you to a couple people out there, but I don't know a lot about it. And he goes, oh, okay, where are you? And I said, well, I'm in Colorado. And the guy goes, Colorado? Where in Colorado? And I said, I'm in Greeley. And the guy goes, you're shitting me. We met at KFC right down the street because he was right here in Greeley, Colorado. And he was calling me thinking that I was in California, you
No
know?
kidding. Wow.
And it's like, oh, okay. So, but I mean, yeah, it is. With cell phones, it's easier to make that mistake now, you know?
It is, but still a very different range of, well, country to country is a very different range of numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, I think Adrian's the one who said this. It's like whatever California does, Colorado does.
In a lot, in a lot of areas, yes. More so in areas like Boulder and Denver. Um, and that is more, and this isn't trying to get into the political aspects or anything. They are more liberal towns. Okay. There's nobody who's going to argue that fact. They have more of a liberal town. Areas like what we're in Greeley, we kind of fall into that accidentally because a lot of people vote for it, but we're also the area where people bitch about it when we vote for it, so
Yeah, well, everybody
which
do that.
doesn't matter to me one bit, but
But you are in close vicinity of Denver and Boulder.
yeah, I'm within an hour of both of them. Yeah, Boulder's a beautiful place. If you've never been to Boulder, it's just gorgeous.
I have actually. I went to Boulder when uh, I think it was that first year when I came and visited you guys, and I went to the Stanley Hotel on
Yep.
on the way out
Estes, yep.
to
With Lucy.
get to
Yep.
70. I had to go through Boulder,
Yeah.
and yeah, you're absolutely right. It really is a beautiful town.
It is. It's beautiful, but you got to be careful when you're driving through there because you will get a contact high. So, and that was before weed became legal in Colorado. You go through Boulder back in the old days and you were sitting there going, "Oh shit." Hello, Joanne.
Yep, Mr. Adrian.
Yep.
Oh, you own that.
Yeah, you know what I am. I'm hers. That's about, uh she's even got like collars on me now and stuff, so
So tell us about some of the people that we can expect to see on Sunday on the in the marathon.
well, one of them that I'm very excited about, who joins me just about every year, and he's my partner with Miracle of the Season, is somebody that we all know and love. We've always known and loved him. He's been one of our favorite people since we were kids. But Santa's going to be there, a gentleman named Santa Papa John, and this guy has a wonderful program, Jeremy, because what he does um, is he he takes and he reads stories all year round, okay? But he loves going to places, and Jeremy, this will be special, um, because he goes to places with autistic children, and he reads stories, and he'll put your child's name inside of a story. And he's done a couple stories with with our grandkids, and their names are there. It's got the name of the seven grandkids. So, you know, the grandkids are listening to this, and they see Santa Claus reading their name, and it becomes that very actually, very special. And it means a lot to them. We've got he's I don't know how I get any gifts for Christmas, because I give this guy a ration of hell. He made the mistake of telling me that he was a blonde, and I'm the wrong person to say that to, because I get to, he's a blonde Canuck, and I have a lot of fun with that. But
You go into that mode automatic.
I do. I told him the other day that, me and my buddy Z, we're going to start building a new website, sexy blondes from the north, and so.
Well,
But
Blonde Santa.
yeah, so, and we're going to be talking to a lady who, she's one of our mission partners, one of the people that we raise money for, and she experienced dating violence, and now what she's trying to do is she runs a program called Dating Tips by Meg. And what she does is she just tries to tell kids some of the pitfalls that you got to watch out for. Kids, especially, one of the things that they think about when they get into a relationship is, well, I'm not being abused, he's not hitting me. Well, do you have any access to the money? No, that's abuse.
There's
Are you allowed to
just
talk? Yeah, are you allowed to talk? Are you allowed to do what you want to do? Well, that's abuse. Those are forms of abuse, and you really got to you got to take charge, because if you let them get away with it in dating, there ain't no way they're going to stop when you're married. If it goes that far. Um, I've got a wonderful group from here in northern Colorado, that's been on all 4 years. Janet and my buddy Bart are going to be joining us. Bart has a program called Veterans Honoring Veterans, where he takes and he provides servicemen and women in the community these little statues with their they've got like the rank and everything on it. This is in honor of my uncle Barry, who passed away right before the event last year. But he's a Vietnam veteran. He's a Marine. Won the Purple Heart. Awarded the Purple Heart, and and he ended up passing away because of cancer, due to Agent Orange. But my dad, my uncles, they have a couple of these. These are just, it's something that you look at them and you think to yourself, well, it's kind of a corny thing. But Jeremy, we've been in situations where we've given veterans these statues, and there was this little old man that we gave one to, and he grabbed a hold of that thing, and it was like he won an Oscar, because somebody gave him something that, you know, somebody remembered that he did something for this country, and that is as easy as it gets to make heroes feel better. It's
What
just,
does it cost to have one of those things made?
I would have to talk to Bart, but they're probably around 150, I think. So, but yeah, I mean, we can talk about that later. Right now, they're only doing them here in northern Colorado, but you and I can talk about it.
Yeah, because my dad's birthday is coming up in April, and I think something like that would be amazing for him.
It's like I said, we've got one upstairs from my father. Um, Bart did this one for my uncle Barry, who is is from the same town here in Colorado as my dad, Otis, Colorado.
Uh huh.
And we also did one posthumously for my uncle Bill. But I raise money for them with the program, so you know, so Bart works with me a lot on these things, and he knows. Look, I'm an advocate for what he does. He also helped out the program, Jeremy, that we do called Community Dare to Care, where his wife passed away, and his wife had all kinds of beautiful, beautiful, like professional clothing. Professional ladies' clothing. She liked to look good,
Hmm.
and he held on to that clothing for like 4 years because he didn't just want to go and give it to somebody who was going to sell it. And Bart found out about me and he came and he gave it to me. And he was sitting there telling his story about his wife, and he had tears in his eyes. And I had tears in my eyes because you could just feel the love he had for his wife, and feel the pain he had for her passing on. And then I also had tears in my eyes for the appreciation that he knew that we were going to do something good with her clothing.
Hmm.
We were going to pay homage to her, because of what he was able to do for us. So,
I think something like that for Dad, because he's very proud of his days in the Marines. Um, and I think something like that, because he'll be 85.
yeah,
I think that would be a big, big thing. So yeah, I definitely want to get a talk to Barry or Bart.
yeah, Bart,
Yeah, see if there's any possible way he can have one made for Dad by the time I come and visit you guys.
yeah. Well, yeah, we can get that done. You know, it it's an amazingly, like I said, it's just amazing to me that it is such a small gesture that means so much to these heroes, you
Mhm.
know? And it just reminds people that, hey, I'm here and they care. And that means so much. It really does. And you brought up a really good point about your dad, and your dad's age. Something that's really hard to think about, partly because, I'm in the age where World War II vets were everywhere. My grandfathers were two of them. You know, World War II vets are almost gone. Korea vets are almost gone.
Yep.
And now
Well,
we're
his
starting to
time in
lose.
the service is considered during the Korean conflict.
Yeah. Well, and now we're starting to lose a lot of the Vietnam vets to either taking their own lives or diseases, or they're getting up there in age. They're in their mid 70s.
Well, Vietnam, I think, was probably the absolute worst out of all of them. Mainly because of what they had to do and what they came home to.
Yeah. Oh, there's absolutely no doubt.
Yeah, Vietnam is considered a stain in our history.
Yeah, you know what's scary is that Vietnam is more of a stain than even the Civil War. It truly is. Vietnam is even more of a stain than the Civil War. We, in which, you know what, there is nothing wrong with wanting to keep out of foreign wars. I don't have any problem with that, but I always tell people all the time that, you know what, you can hate the war, just don't hate the veteran.
Right.
Don't hate the kid that was forced to go over there, that was told to go over there. You know,
That's what a lot of people weren't able to grasp is, you know, I'm under orders, and they can, oh well, you don't have to do those orders. Yeah, we do.
yeah, you do.
Otherwise, bad things happen to us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know what? You take and you give that oath, you give that little 2-minute oath, and basically what you're saying is, okay, here you go. Here's a blank check, and this blank check is my life.
Yeah.
And I've signed it over to you, and you know what? You can do whatever the hell you want to do with me. If we go into war, I'm here. And if I come home in a pine box, that's
I'm
what I signed up for.
I'm actually getting ready to finish. It's called Hearts in Suspension, and it's a group of essays. Um, it's under Stephen King's name, but he only takes a portion of the thing. But the whole book is about the students from the University of Maine and talking about how they felt about the Vietnam War, how they protested. One actually admitted he was going to go up to Canada to not be a part of the
Oh
draft.
yeah.
Um, there's some really heavy stuff in that book, and I gotta say, normally when it comes to essays from a group of people, I'm not a big fan of it, but this one is so good. It's really really good.
You know, the sad thing is, look, and there's not been a single conflict where people haven't stretched the rules. Okay. Um
It's war.
yeah, and World War II, our soldiers were over there doing, you know, and this is just the truth. This isn't me trying to badmouth them, but there were soldiers over there that were doing, you know, they were raping German women, and it happens. And you're right. It's under the guise of war.
Yeah,
It's
it's war.
disgusting. It's gross. It's wrong.
Yeah, there's no. I was even talking to Dad about that because he had Mash on, and my thought is I've seen the entire series of Mash,
Love that
and
show.
huh,
I love that show.
it was a good show, but holy cow! By the time I got to the seventh season, I was ready to be done with it. It was still four more seasons to go.
It
Um,
is funny that that show lasted 3 times longer than the Korea War.
yeah,
So,
and that really screwed up their timeline too.
yeah,
Um, and I was saying something to Dad. It's like I know this is just a TV show, but they should have had something to where the Koreans were coming after to blow up the mash units. And he said, "You don't do that in war, because that's where they're taking the people." And I'm thinking, okay, we're in a war. There's no rules, no etiquette to follow. You do what you can to win, but yet apparently most times they left the mass units alone on both sides.
that is something that is still that happens a lot today. And there were a couple episodes where they had to skid it. They had to skid the camp. They did have to move the camp because of bombing a couple times.
Yep,
So
I remember
and
that.
and I remember one specifically. It was the Americans that were bombing them. And I remember that episode, and I'm like going, and it was that was one of the crazy ones to me because I remember seeing that when I was young, and I'm like going, "There's no way that we did that to our own people." And yeah, we, you know,
That's where the term friendly fire comes
yeah,
in.
it unfortunately happens more than Pat Tillman died by friendly fire. The football player for the Arizona Cardinals. He put aside his football career to go fight in Iraq or Iran or one of them, and uh, he was killed by friendly fire. You
Uh,
know,
it was after the 9/11 thing, so it might have been Afghanistan, maybe.
I can't remember. I was thinking it was even before that, but um,
I'm looking him up right now.
yeah,
So it's 2000, he died in Afghanistan.
yeah, okay, so.
Yeah, but he said that he was in the Iraq War and war in Afghanistan.
Yeah, yeah. So,
So
but I mean,
was
you just that was what was amazing about Mr. Tillman is you had people like DiMaggio, you had people who, you know, they gave up fame. Elvis Presley, for God's sakes, gave up fame and fortune to join an effort, because that was an honor. And you
I
just
had
don't,
the feeling that Elvis didn't want to go.
well, I don't know much about him. I just know he went.
Yeah, yeah.
And still,
I know Muhammad Ali didn't
didn't
want
want
to.
to go. He got the credit for going. I'm pretty damn sure he wasn't too upset he went. He made it back alive, but
That's
you
true.
know, but
Then he became the biggest star in the world.
yeah, yep. So, but yeah, it's
Muhammad
just
Ali would
uh,
not go.
no, no, no. Muhammad Ali would not go. But again, that was during Vietnam, and it was so divisive.
It was.
I mean that, and it still disgusts me that we're not supposed to call it a war, in which I'm sorry, but it was a freaking war. you know it I mean,
Yeah.
put lipstick on a pig, it's still bacon, right? So fat
Well,
guys like me are still going to want to eat it. I don't care if it's wearing lipstick or not.
it's not bacon until after the fact.
Hey man, I don't know, buddy. I see pigs and all I can think of is, As
I
as Homer Simpson said, it's that magical animal that bacon, sausage, and ham comes from.
there was a house a few houses down. Somebody actually had a big pig for a pet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So
remember.
tell me about some of the other people that you got. I know we have Lynn coming
Yep,
on, and we had Lynn on Supernatural Talk a few weeks
yep.
ago.
Yeah, at 10 p.m. we're gonna have Lynn Sobolski. She's another one of my. Another one of my giving partners, and she's going to be giving people free um, tarot readings. So and that's I think she's going to be joining you guys at the 9 o'clock hour too. So, but yeah, yeah, at least a
The way
portion.
that I understand it, it's me, Adrian, and Nick from 9 to 10, and then me and Nick leave, and it'll be Adrian, Jan, and Lynn.
You're 8 to 9, and they're 9 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah, you're 8 to 9, they're 9 to 10, and then Lynn is 10 to 11. So.
Oh, so Lynn by herself, 10 to 11.
Well, I don't know if Jan and Adrian are going to want to do that third hour. If they don't want to do it, I'm going to be there with Lynn.
Okay.
So, but yeah, she's going to be giving free tarot readings to people, and yeah, she's one of our partners. That if you make a purchase with her, she gives a portion of that to a cause that you care about that has asked us for help. So, but and one of the cool things that we're doing is if you make a comment And if you like one of our channels, like if you've never subscribed to one of our channels, or if you share the show or whatever, share the channel, share the show, whatever you're going to do, and make a comment, you're going to be entered in, because somebody's going to walk away that night with a 1 hour reading session with Lynn. So, along with some books
Wow.
from old friends of ours like Sean Whittington, somebody's going to win his 2 books, and yeah, I don't
Okay.
even know if that creepy old man's still alive or not. I'm joking. I see him every once in a while. I see something goofy about him every once in a while. But speaking of pigs, oh,
And right now, I'm still waiting on word from Nick about the girl he's seeing. He said that we're not going to be able to do it on Sunday, but maybe we can do like a pre-record, which the only time we're going to be able to do a pre-record is tomorrow. So I'm,
yeah, we're kind of running out of time. Yeah, you know.
yeah, because I had that 12-1 slot. I had it for other people, and then I canceled it. Then Tyler came into the picture, so I took the slot back, and now I don't know what's going on.
Well, you know what? I'm going to be joining you on that one anyway. So, um,
It'll
at
probably
least,
just be
uh,
me and
at
you.
least a portion of it. So, we can go wherever we want with it. And, we can still have some fun. I mean,
Yeah, but
uh,
I was hoping at least we'd be able to get you that 1 hour break.
yeah, well, again, the, it's a neat, that right there is a nice break. Because I know that we're not going to be talking about the heavy stuff that I hear. Look, one of my first interviews, Jeremy, is a guy who got severely, severely hurt um, in service to the country, and the government is forcing him to sign a non-disclosure. And the guys decided, you know what, that's fine. I'll sign the non-disclosure, but until then, I'm going to do what I can do, and that's going to happen at 4 o'clock in the morning. So or yeah, 4:30 in the morning. So you know,
See
I
how quick we get
we'll
shut
see.
down.
Yeah, we'll see if I make it to the 22 hours, or if I get assassinated. If we're going to be
Or,
giving away state secrets or something.
or get the live shut down. I know that when Scott and Tim do their show on Thursday, they get into really, really controversial topics. And there's been numerous times their lives got cut.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I've I've already told the guy that we're not going to go too deep into it. I want to, I'm more interested you know, in his story on what happened and what he's doing to try to build himself back up. I don't care about conspiracy theories. I don't, I'm not a guy who gets into any of that. I want to know what we can do to help you. You know, I know that your story has so much power to help other people, and that's truly what I want to do. But I also talked to a guy that I'm going to be playing an interview with a guy who um, studied the ancient practice of incense healing, and so that's going to be one of the things that is played during that time. We've
so,
got
how much of this event is going to be pre recorded?
there's I think I've got like maybe an hour and a half of it pre-recorded, but I still sit here because if somebody's going to ask a question, I need to make sure I can answer them.
Oh,
So, you know, but yeah, there's about an hour and a half that's pre-recorded.
well,
So,
at least it's something of a break.
yeah, like I said, at least I can walk away from the camera for a minute. But so, I mean, it's a good thing the bathroom's like right there, but bathroom's still right there, so I do need to get up every once in a while. one of my favorite podcasters. I know the guy takes and he walks away from the camera to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, "Are you nuts? Don't you have something you can play in its place?" I you're just leaving a camera wide open and makes no sense to me. So I
That's why I always make sure to go right before the show starts.
yeah
Way
yeah.
I don't have to worry about it.
Hey, you know what? I've also got, just in case of emergencies, I've got like 3 minute spots that we talk about something else. So, you know, like we're going to be doing, what we're doing what we're raising money for this time is something called the Come Together Compass, which
Uh-huh.
is going to be taking over for the community Dare to Care. And the Come Together Compass is going to be something that is not just nationwide, but it can be worldwide, where it's going to offer people an opportunity to help others in need. And I'm working with some students at Arizona State University to help me build this. But I mean, it's going to be something that's going to offer mental, physical support, building communities, making sure that we stop putting, you know, viable, useful equipment in landfills when there's families out there that need this stuff. You
Mhm.
know, we're just asking people to take precautions because unfortunately it is a dangerous world right now. I mean,
Yes, it
I
is.
I definitely tell people, do not go to someone else's house and absolutely do not go there alone. Do not have anybody come to your house and absolutely not if you're alone. Make sure that you're not just have one person there. Make sure you have your neighbors there if somebody's coming over. I mean, you got to protect yourself. Good people get hurt too. That's just kind of the way it is. So,
I
but
know and it's so unfortunate because
it
we
is. It is.
seeing well just not even a week ago, I think there was a report of a school shooting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I want to say it was up in Canada, but I'm not 100% positive on
There
that.
was actually the one up in Canada. I'm not sure if that was a shooting or a stabbing. There was a school stabbing somewhere recently.
Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of, and I'm just thinking
It,
of it.
it could have been, but I don't know for sure.
But
But I know that
well,
there was a
either way,
school.
it was an incident at school that could have resulted in a death.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a fatality in this one.
Right.
I hope not. Anyway,
Well,
uh,
and see, you know, those lead down dangerous paths. But honest to God, my sons grew up playing all those violent video games and doing all that stuff. But I've got one son that works in a government facility as a security guard, and he protects government secrets. And then I have another, Adrian and I have another son that's in Japan teaching English to children, and he's a professional wrestler. You know, so people can't say it's the games that do this. I don't like the thought that you know guns are not the ones doing it. Access to guns are dangerous, but you know, and I completely agree with that. But I also know that you know, I'm a biker. I've been around a lot of people with guns, and I am telling you, I have never felt more safe than when I was in a group of people with guns. Because if anybody was stupid enough to pull one out there, they ain't gonna get very many of us because they ain't gonna be walking. You know, it's just you really gotta. It's mental health, and you're also dealing with young people, and we all know what it was like to be young
hmm
and feel the pressures that you at the time thought were real. Now that we're older, we sit there and we look at those pressures going, Jesus, to go back and have that as a pressure, you know?
well,
Um,
what they consider pressure now compared to what pressure was 50 years ago, it is completely different. The pressures that people put on themselves now should never happen.
Yeah.
50 years ago, I would say they didn't have a choice because things were a lot different then. Today, I would dare say that most of the pressure people put on themselves is completely unnecessary, but for different reasons.
Uh, you know, there's always been Jeremy, a keeping up with the Joneses attitude. And unfortunately, with influencers and people making money in that, the outrageous money that they make.
That's
uh,
part of what I'm talking about, and
yeah.
also that mentality that a lot of people are throwing around saying, oh, this is mental illness, that is mental illness. It, people are so quick to throw that around.
Well, ADHD, when probably when you were a kid too, but not as much as when I was a kid. A child with ADHD when I was a kid, they didn't have ADHD. They were a pain in the ass. Your kid needs his ass kicked. That's exactly what it was. There was no such thing as ADHD. And honestly, we think that, you know, we're discovering new things. No, we're giving scientific names to things that have been here forever. We're understanding things a lot better. Jeremy, that's one of the things that I pointed out the very first year I started this program is PTSD was shell shock, was, was all these other things when my grandpas were alive.
Hmm.
Okay? It wasn't PTSD. Well, it's great that we gave it a name. Now we got to do something about it.
Yeah.
We
Well,
can't just give it a name and walk away because that's like calling a kid a pain in the ass and walking away from it.
they have recently done that with concussions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They have discovered this new thing called CTE,
Mm-hmm.
but the only way they can be able to diagnose it is after the person dies.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but that's the only way they're able to tell at this time.
Yep.
Maybe 50 years down the road, they might be able to find a way to diagnose it before.
There's there are things that we can do, and this is really one of the biggest things that we try to get across to people, that there are so many things that we can do to try to help people, that if we're paying attention, there's a lot of telltale signs. Okay? We all know people that we've seen start to go into bad places, and we shy away from them because we feel uncomfortable.
Which is a very natural thing to do.
It is a very natural thing, but you know what? We need to start thinking about that. How much do I love this person? Because if I'm uncomfortable, imagine what this person is.
Right.
Imagine how they're feeling. And look, you're not required to take and sit down and listen to somebody's problems. You're not required to do it. But if you have a fear that somebody's in trouble, you have to make sure that you call somebody else who can listen to them,
Hmm.
whether they're trained or not, because we're losing too many people and we don't need to.
And that number has gone up where it was 22 a day, and the last that I knew
47,
was 47 now.
47.
Okay, last I knew it was 36.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that number's never going to be stable, Jeremy. It's never going to be the same somewhere else. Okay.
yeah.
States like Colorado, a drug death, that's an accidental suicide. So they're going to call that a suicide. Other states, an overdose is an overdose. It's not a suicide. So they don't count that as a suicide. So those numbers are never going to be, you know, we need
Act-
to come up with a way, right? They're never going to be accurate, you know. I remember when Biden was in office, he was talking about how the number was down to 17, and I about spit out the cookie I was eating. I'm like, where the hell did you get that number? Because it has not been 17 forever, you know?
Probably not since the turn of the century.
Yeah. And
It was
so,
never that low then.
yeah, and it's just, look, the truth is that until we come up with what is a death by suicide, we're never going to know what the true number is.
Probably
And of
not.
course, the only, if we leave it to the government to do this, the side of the government that has something to spend money on, they're going to increase that number. The side that doesn't want that to happen, they're going to decrease that number. And this
And
isn't a numbers thing. This is a people are dead thing. And we can't let numbers get in, you know, we can't let numbers take over what's important.
well, we can't. We also can't trust the government to do the right
Well,
thing.
no, no, but uh,
That's
and
a topic for another day.
and honestly, that's nothing to do with. Well, it does have something to do, but I mean, that's not just this administration. There's not. Oh, look, every administration we've ever lived through, it's the best liars that get in there. Okay,
Yeah.
this one kind of takes it to a new level, but he enjoys himself, so he's a monkey. That's fine. Not really, but
I don't
still.
know. Did would you put Ronald Reagan up there?
Oh yeah, Reagan lied all the time.
Did he?
Oh yeah, Reagan lied all the time.
Because it seems like the people that I talk to these days, they rank him as the best president we've had in our lifetime.
Well, there. Look, this is also one of those things that you know people with strong Christian values, they're going to say that Reagan was a greater president than people who are more willing to accept somebody else's views. Because Nancy was a hardcore Christian, a believer. And I was watching something the other day that Reagan ended up pissing off a lot of the Christian nationalists because he promised them a whole bunch of stuff and then walked away from it. So, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, Reagan wasn't that great of a guy. I mean, he's the one who started the term "Make America Great Again." Did you know that? That's a
You
Reagan.
somebody had.
Yeah, that's a Reagan thing. "Make America Great" was a Reagan quote.
Okay. Yeah, I knew that Trump wasn't the first one to say it, that somebody
Right.
else had, but didn't really know.
Yeah. Well, and that's still that term. It pissed me off when I was a kid, and it pisses me off now because you know what? America's always great. We have more freedoms than we
We
had more freedoms than anybody.
when you look at it that way, we do, but at the same time, it's like, man, how free are we really because of all the outside influences?
Well, you got to think about it. There's a look, without a doubt, there's a cost of freedom, and
Big cost of freedom.
again, it doesn't matter Republican, Democrat. It doesn't matter. Neither one of them are doing it right. Okay, look, as corrupt as people think Trump is, Nancy Pelosi is. Okay, Nancy Pelosi's made tons and tons and tons of money while
She
she was in
was
office.
downright scary.
Yeah, yeah, she still is, but but
Oh,
I mean, there's corruption on both sides. I don't. We've never lived through anything like what we're living now. That's for damn sure. But
no.
never lived in a place where freedoms of somebody wasn't under attack.
E-
And
Even the first term didn't feel like how it does now.
there were guardrails. There were people who could tell him, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
Now they've put in place people that are not going to tell him that. These, look, let's be honest here. Um, the guy's got a blank check that he can sign himself. He's going to sue the Department of Justice because of the raid on his home.
He, he's suing the IRS.
He's suing the IRS. Yeah, that's what he controls. There is no guardrail there.
Yeah,
There's nobody to sit there and say no. And I mean,
that needs to be put
you
in
gotta
place
learn.
for every president, doesn't matter who.
Yeah, yeah. Look, there should never when when the Constitution and the Bill of Rights was written, there is no way in hell that they foresaw what we are now.
Oh, how
And
could you?
yeah, and I mean, but you got to remember there was no way that they saw a world without slavery. Thomas Jefferson actually wrote a constitution that was denied because he was going to abolish slavery, which is, you know, Thomas Jefferson owned slaves.
Yeah, Jefferson owned slave. Washington owned slave.
Right. But Thomas Jefferson's his first constitution was going to abolish slavery. Not right away. It was going to abolish it through through a 10-year thing. But the people in the South said, "Oh no, you don't." And you know,
Well, that's what started the Civil War.
yeah. Well, and again, that's one thing. That's another thing that people think about Lincoln is that Lincoln did this for slavery, and no, he didn't.
No, he. The,
Lincoln flat
I
out said,
always,
"You know what? People can keep their slaves, but we keep our union. They can keep their slaves. If I have to abolish slavery to keep the union, I'm going to abolish slavery." So,
that's how I've understood it.
yep.
He got rid of slavery because he felt it was best for the country.
Well, he knew that he knew he was not going to be able to keep the country together if one side was owning slaves and the other side was not.
Right.
So there's no way the economy would have worked for the South if under the way that the United States was run, there was no way that they could have kept the Union the way it was if slavery was going to continue. So that's why it was broken up. And and his first thought was he was going to take and deport the slaves. He was going to take and send them back to Africa. He knew that there was going to be problems with with the mingling of the slaves with the whites. He knew there were going to be problems. There were a lot of things that the man did that were great, but you know, there's a lot of things that he did that were a little suspect too. But and we could call it a sign of the times because it was,
Hmm.
but you know, and we would all like to sit here and think, at least most rational people would like to sit here and think that what, I wouldn't have been that way, but we don't know.
Right.
We
And
actually
when you
don't
think
know.
about it, it was 100 years after the fact is where we were at our worst with racial
Yeah, 1960s. Yep,
conflicts.
yep, yep. So yep,
So
but
I like to think it's gotten a lot better now, but unfortunately, it hasn't for other races.
it
And that's kind of what we're going through now.
you know this is something that at one point in time I truly thought that my opinion was one of the greatest things that God had ever given me. As I have gotten older, I do realize that, you know what, is my opinion is important. It is. It's absolutely important. But you know what? My opinion is like everyone else's opinion. Every single one of us have one. Every single one of us has an asshole, and they all stink. I mean, everybody's opinion is just exactly that. Facts are facts, opinions are opinions, and we need to stop. We need to stop basing stuff off opinion and start working with fact and start working facts and making facts count again. And some
But
of the
but
some
the
of the
problem with
ridiculousness
that,
that Adrian read a story last night that I don't want to get into, but she read a story last night that made me make a double take because I just can't believe that somebody could read that and go, that makes sense. He was dead. No, he fucking wasn't.
the,
No,
the,
no,
the
this
problem
isn't Dave, the movie Dave.
the problem with that is that there are a lot of people out there when they hear an opinion, they misconstrue it as fact,
Yep,
and they start stating it as a fact.
yep, yep,
That's probably the biggest problem we
yep.
have right now. And with technology, the technological age that we're in, this is the absolute worst. Uh,
And you know,
Anything
and
can be put on the internet now and be presented as a fact.
yeah, oh yeah, and you know, and I love AI. Okay, and I heard Adrian talking about. I love AI. I use AI all the time. It makes my life easier with my job. I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that I do without AI. That's just the way it is. But I will admit that AI is can be dangerous. I can make you
I
know
worry that AI could start World War III.
well, it very well could if we allow that to happen. But you got to remember this, Jeremy. AI at this point in time is ran by humans. So it's not AI alone that's going to start anything. It's got to have a human that presses a button. AI, even with this computer that's sitting right next to me, it's not going to do anything unless I press a button. So it can tell me something, and I can press that button saying, "You're right. I agree. I am a purple nosed leprechaun." One, it doesn't make it true. Two, that'd just be damn cute. But I mean, it still
That
means there
that's
is
the
still
next
a human
Leprechaun
aspect.
movie right there, the Purple Nose edition.
Yeah, the purple nose edition is me at about hour 20, 20. So that's from me slamming my face into the desk so many times.
And we're actually almost at an hour 20. I
Yeah.
know I told you we were only going to do 1 hour because I know how you got to get prepared and everything for Sunday. Because holy cow, that's a lot.
Um, you know what, brother? I just appreciate you letting me come on here and talk about it. And I really hope that everybody here tunes in to Things Network on YouTube and on their Facebook channel, in which Facebook, Jeremy and I have learned that we can only do certain hours. Um, so if you cannot find it on a Facebook channel, check on things on YouTube and you will find the show. If you cannot find it here, go to YouTube and go to Packed Channels, which is PACT channels, and you can find it there. Um,
I
and
actually have one of your pack channels on YouTube.
yeah, I see that up there. That's really cool. Yeah.
Uh,
So and
well,
then
because you were on, I wanted to
yeah,
get some
yeah.
of your channels in this.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I see we're also on the Facebook channels, which is really cool. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but look, here's the truth, okay? And I say this all the time. Um, Braxton and I completely agree. AI is fine by me. It does some funny things. That's all I know. Um, does some really
I
sick things.
actually saw a video somebody had posted a few days ago where it was the very beginnings of AI of Will Smith trying to eat spaghetti, and it looked like total shit.
Yeah.
And it showed the progression of doing the same thing year after year after year, and now in 2026 they did the same thing, and it really looks like Will Smith eating a plate of spaghetti.
I remember the first thing I did. The first picture I tried to create. I think on one hand they had like three arms, or one side of their body they had like three arms, and on
Shit.
the other side of the body they didn't have any. And yes, yes, yes. I created our theme song for the intros using a program that's out of AI. So I built prompts and it created a beautiful song for us today called "Never Shut Up." So people can look for that. But
That's the one thing I wrestle myself with because I write lyrics all the time. And with the exception of three of my songs, three of my lyrics, I have no music. And I've debated on rather putting my lyrics into one of those things and creating music, but I don't know if I really want to do that because if I do that, then people are going to make me think, well, now what about the writing that he does? Does he actually write that, or does he use AI? And I don't want that perception out there.
yeah, but you've also got to remember, man, people are going to be skeptics anyway.
True.
You know, and and let's be completely honest here. A lot of this popular music today isn't written by the people singing it anyway. I mean,
No, but it's
so,
still written by actual people.
well, some of it is, not all of it. So
Right.
there are, like I said, I'll fully admit AI wrote our theme song. Well, I dictated what I wanted, but AI wrote the theme song for this Sunday.
Yeah.
And it did a fantastic job, and I love it. But AI did not create the damn video. I did that. So I just want everybody to know it. I
Just
created
for
that monstrosity.
clarification.
So, you know, that exercise in futility, that was all on me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we do encourage you guys. The show starts at 4 a.m. in the east, 2 a.m. for me because I just love 2 a.m. Um,
Well, why not?
yeah, and it
Month
goes
number
until
two,
it goes for 22 hours, and
month number two, day number 22. Might as well start at hour number two.
yeah, and actually that is the whole reason why I started it at 2 a.m. So, but
Get along with the twos. The terrible twos is what they call them.
yeah, and you know, we ask you to do something. Dedicate at least 22 minutes on that day. Share it with at least 22 of your friends. You know, reach out to people that that are struggling, and tell them, hey, you don't have to tell them, hey, I can see you're kind of screwed up, watch this with me. Say, hey, this is kind of fun to watch some of it, and who knows, maybe it could help them. We don't know what's going to help people, and that's the reason why we tell people never shut up, because you don't know what you're going to say that's going to change somebody's life in a positive way.
Exactly.
Now, if you keep talking stupid shit, you know what it's going to do? It's going to make it negative. But I mean, if you really think about telling people the stories that you've been through, the truths that you've been through, don't don't try to make yourself something you're not. Just try to go out there and tell your story. Tell what you struggle with, because maybe someone else will hear what you're struggling with and give you an idea on how to get out of it. And the other thing that we've just got to say this, okay? Don't ever tell somebody you know how to fix them, because no, you don't. And people aren't broken. They just need help. So don't tell somebody that you know how to heal them, because no, you don't. It worked for you. That don't mean it's going to work for everyone. So, you know, I hit a fence really, really hard and it made me smarter. Okay. I'm not going to tell anybody else to go out and hit a fence really, really hard to see if it makes them smarter.
It'll make your hands smart, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm talking with my head.
Yeah,
So,
but that kind of smart is a different definition.
yeah.
All
So,
right, Zach. What I would do is I will end this show the same way that I have been with all the others since the start of this season, and I will ask you the same question I've asked every other guest. At this moment, what are three things you are grateful for?
the three things I am grateful for is that I do know that there are really, really good people that's I surround myself with. I mean, great people who care, and I know that they're there for me if I need them. I'm absolutely grateful for the wonderful things that Adrian's brought into my life. You know, she can put up with my family, and anybody who can do that, hey, they're a okay to me. So, but no, I am truly grateful for my marriage, and being in a good marriage for one out of three, not bad. And of course, and this is something that I it hasn't changed in 33 years. I am beyond grateful for my kids. I love my kids every day. My kids are my very best friends in the world. My kids are my everything. And Adrian has introduced me to, or has given me, you know, two daughters and another son and seven grandkids, and they have become my family. And I love being a father. I think it is one of the coolest things in the world. So,
Yes, it is. Yes, I can 100% agree with you on that one.
yep. So, and I'm also grateful for cherry flavored soda, as you well know.
I
Hey,
remember that.
hey, look at this though. I'm gonna throw a wrench in the program. Pineapple Fanta.
What?
Yeah, pineapple Fanta.
When did that become a thing?
I don't know, but it's damn good.
I I've only ever heard of people bitching about pineapple on pizza, but I have never once heard anything about a pineapple. Well, I've heard of pineapple drinks, but not like that.
Yeah, pineapple Fanta is awesome. If you've never tried it, you got to give it a shot. Oh, and by the way, the people who bitch about pineapple pizza, they should be euthanized, except for Adrian,
Wow.
because she might be standing behind me.
Yeah, that would be one of those. But
Yeah. So no, I had pineapple on my pizza the other day. I even had pineapple in my calzone the other day. So
uh, there are people out there that like them. There are people out there that don't. Me, when it comes to
what did
pizza,
I say earlier? Opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and they all, well, they're different.
and now you got one. Well, you did have one licking you.
Yeah, yeah. One of the six.
All right. Well, Zach, thank you so much for joining tonight. I really wanted to get this and get the word of the mission out there since you are 30 hours away
Yeah,
from, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
you
So,
are not even 30 hours away. You are 29 and a half hours.
yo, that's close. Yeah. Hey, you know, and if There still might be a slot or two that we can find if anybody's interested in talking. Just get a hold of Jeremy, and he can connect you to me. So
Yep. Well, I don't know if you noticed, but yesterday I put a thing in the things show host chat. If anybody wanted to get a hold of you, to
yeah,
get a hold of
let's keep it going, guys. And like I said, I tell people every day, at the end of every single one of my shows, something very simple, man. If you're not helping someone, you're hurting everyone, and no one has to go it alone when we come together. you know we can do amazing things together. So just keep up what you're doing, Jeremy, and thank you very much.
you. I'm sending a message to somebody.
And try pineapple Fanta.
I've actually gotten away from uh, drinking anything other than water.
Ugh, that shit'll kill you.
Well, actually, it's my favorite drink. Um,
Ugh,
but
God.
I've actually gotten away from because Sprite's the only other thing that I would drink. And a couple of weeks ago, I had Sprite for the first time in probably 4 months.
Man, I didn't even drink a gallon of water last year. Not even 1 gallon of water last year.
And you wonder why you have kidney stones.
Eh, uh, Kidney stones for other reasons too, but
Well, true, but still. All right, Zach. Thank you so much for being on tonight.
yeah.
Those out there in the audience, thank you for playing along with us tonight and listening to our ramble of something very, very important. Um, Starting at 2 a.m. Sunday morning, Saturday night is the start of the Mission for Healthy Heroes 22-hour marathon podcast. There's going to be a whole bunch of guests that Zach will be talking to. I will have a segment. Well, actually, me and Zach will have a segment from 12 to 1 if we're not able to do a pre record with Tyler, the young lady that Nick is seeing. I'm still waiting on that. And then 8 to 9 will be myself, Adrian, and Nick. We will be talking about this. And then 9 to 10 will be Adrian, Jan, and Lynn, who we had on Supernatural Talk a few weeks ago. And then Lynn, I think, is going solo 10 to 11.
It becomes Lynn's day where she gives up free readings, free tarot readings. So come on with your questions.
So the 22-hour marathon will be broadcast not only on the Things Network, but also the PAC channels, and there are three of them. So,
Yeah. Throw a dart. You can
yeah,
find something.
just make sure at the very least have the Things YouTube as one of the destinations.
Oh yeah, it is. The YouTube channel is there for all 22 hours.
Okay. Yeah,
So
because
YouTube channels are there all 22 hours.
yeah,
So, but
very.
what do you want?
All right. As of right now, next Friday, I do not have a guest. I don't anticipate having a guest. I have been doing this limited series for almost every week now since the start of the year. I think I didn't have one of the first couple of weeks. I don't know, so I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break, um, unless something happens. But the segment that Zach and I will be having on Sunday will be a 13th Dimension episode, and the one with me, Nick, and Adrian that will be a Supernatural Talk episode. Um, and beyond that, it is all everything else.
Yeah.
So,
It's all.
yeah. But the thing is, it's still going and sounds like it's still growing.
Yep.
So that's always a plus. All right. Um, Zach, hang around after the show so
Yeah,
we can talk about the. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night, have a good weekend, and a safe weekend. And we will see all of you, hopefully, on Sunday. Good night, everybody.
absolutely.